Okay, so in this new version of Premiere Pro, you've got different different workspaces working across the top. And you have learning, you have assembly, editing, color, effects, audio, graphics. We're going to go to assembly to get started here. So click on assembly at the top. And guys, today we're just going to use any clips. They don't have to be from this film. They can be from the first film we made, second film we made, practice stuff that we've shot. It doesn't matter what it is. You can just double click here, import media to start. Double click, and please go and find two different clips of video. It really doesn't matter what they are. I'm going to hold command to select two separate ones without getting them all in a row here. And then click import. Next thing is, look over here. A little different in this version. Okay, I just pulled in a clip of my daughter's playing test for middle school here, for music class, and then something that the IB students made over here. So we have noticed right away there is a little icon underneath here. It says contains linked audio. Now the way I would always have you start a project before is to right click on a clip and choose new sequence from clip. But today we don't need to do that. This is the same thing. If I go and I take this and drop it down here into the timeline, it's going to automatically set up a sequence that is the same size as this clip. Okay, so just a review on a sequence. Look at look, I've got doubles here. It's a little confusing compared to last version. The older version, there would be three colored bars. It would be blue, green, and purple, I think. But it would have this same looking icon here. Okay. Remember that a sequence is what we're building down here. A sequence is a bunch of different shots that are put in a row, a sequence, right? And then can be exported to the media encoder. That's why we don't call it a video or a movie now. We call it a sequence because when it's exported, we can export it as a scene. We can export it as a lot of different things. But the point is that once it's in that media encoder, if you recall that separate program that opens up, we can then format that for different aspect ratios for different devices. So, for instance, we always format for YouTube 720p. That way, it fits into the YouTube uploader really easy and all of that, and it works. For the TVs that I have out in the hallway, those big flat screen TVs, those only read one kind of video off of a flash drive. That's called MPEG-2 video HDTV. So I have to go and run the encoder and make a version of this sequence that's going to run on that screen. Okay. You can also format stuff for your phones. You can format stuff for your video game consoles. You can format stuff for billboards. You can format stuff for broadcast TV if you're going to make a commercial. You can format stuff for all kinds of different versions through the encoder. But this is a sequence. And I want you to really pay attention to this because it's different and new than the older version, all right? That this is the clip. This is the sequence, okay? It's got that icon right there. This is really confusing a lot of my students. Also, now we've got a new little icon here. It says, this video has been used one time, okay? So it's a way to marking like you've already used this one. You don't need to look at this one anymore if you don't want to reuse it, okay? All right, so now we're going to jump over here to effects in the top. All right, so that changes our screen layout. Right now, we don't see any effects up here under effect controls. We see a list of effects over here on the right-hand side. But if I go and I just select my clip that's in the timeline here or in the sequence, I've got all this stuff that already opens up. All right, I'm going to close it down. It's probably the way yours looks there. So select the clip in the timeline here. All right, so once you're in, I see some of you that aren't in effects, so go to effects here at the top. There's editing, color, effects. It's you, Chase. Effects. Oh, you are there. I'm sorry. Yeah. Maybe it's that you don't have this selected. You won't see anything up here unless you have the clip selected here. Okay. Good. Anna, select the clip for me in the timeline. And oh, and look, Anna has this one up, source. no clips. Make sure it says effect controls over here on the left. Does anybody not see what I'm seeing? Okay, wonderful. Good deal. So if I'm sorry. Yeah, you're not seeing what I'm seeing because it looks like this. Yes. All right. Let's start off with just basic effects for opacity. Opacity means how transparent something can be. So go ahead and open up the caret next to opacity. This stopwatch is to toggle animation. Right now, I don't want to toggle this. So I don't want to have animation. So click that so that it's white and it's not blue. We'll use that a little bit later on. Okay. And with the slider here, or I'm sorry, on the 100%, you can go and you can drag this to the left and you can make this less opaque. Try that out. Bless you. So if you wanted to do manual transitions to dissolve in or dissolve out, you could do this, no problem. We have a transition that can do this for us under video transitions, but you're going to see why I'm teaching you this now. All of these parameters can be animated. They can all be changed. Anybody need help with that? Okay, let's move on. That one's pretty simple. Let's go and close down the opacity on this clip. Actually, let's put it all the way up to 100. And then let's go ahead and click on the caret to collapse that. All right, over here is my list of effects. Open up video effects. I've been showing all my other classes black and white, but I already showed you this. It's under image control. Don't use it. We'll use something else a little more interesting. You could go and drag this black and white down here. The reason why I'm not using it is it's not going to give us any parameters to change up here. So instead, let's go and find actually, I lied. Okay. Go to image control and put on a black and white. I want to show you something. Drag and drop it right onto the clip. Okay, so now the clip is black and white. Notice what happened in the upper left-hand corner in the effect controls. Okay, now you've got a section called black and white. You don't have a slider. You could mask it out. I could get into that with you guys later on if you want to. I'm not going to get into it today. But to turn that on and off, toggle effects. You see that? The little FX button. So if you don't like something, you don't need to delete it until you know you're not going to use it and you're finished with editing. Okay? You can leave it on there and just turn it off. Okay? All right. So let's leave that on there. But let's add on a second effect now. Go down here under Stylize. Open that one up and find Posterize. This is my favorite effect of all time. Drag Posterize down and drop it onto your clip. So posterization is basically taking the whole video and boiling it down into a couple levels of value. If you have it on black and white, right now it's at 7 steps of value. That means there'll be a black and a white and there'll be 5 grays. Okay, 5 different grays. Say I want to bring that down to, say, this is a very dark clip for me, but say I want to bring it down to 4. Bring it down to 4 and you'll see what it does. Under the controls, bring it down to 4. And you can hit play and see what that looks like. You could bring it down to, there's a slider here that's easier to use if you open up the level. You can go and drag that down to 3 if you wanted to. Roll it back, play it again. Or 2. 2 will just be black and white. That's it. A black and a white. Mine's a dark clip, so I'm hardly seeing anything there. Now you can bring it up to 11 or whatever. I know you learned about a value scale in art class in elementary school. I'm sure that you learned about that. The steps between white and black on a value scale. And that's exactly what this is. Brighter clips generally look pretty cool in this. My dark clip's not going to look that great, but oh well. Go ahead and see what it looks like in color. Maybe you like it better in color. Students tend to like it in color. I don't. That's just a personal preference. So I'm going to turn off the black and white, and then you can see what it looks like in color when you take it down to just a couple tones. I brought it down to 3. So I only get a black. Looks like a black. What is that? A yellow and an orange? Is that it? Now if I select this screen, say you really want to see what it looks like. I can select this window here, the one that has my video in it. If it has the blue lines around it, touch the tilde key. That's the key underneath escape. Looks like there's a pink in here too. What is that? Interesting. And you can kind of see what it looks like that way too. For some reason, students like this. I don't like this look, but students do. So it's up to you. When you don't want to look at it full screen anymore, touch tilde to switch back and forth. Depends on which screen you have selected. So if you have a different screen, if you have the timeline selected, that will full screen it. Same thing with the project panel, all kinds of stuff. Okay. All right. So I'm going to select my clip again, and I'm going to keep it at black and white. It'll be a little bit easier to see what we're going to do next. I'm going to bring the level up a little bit too, so my shot's not so dark here. So I brought it up to about 8. Okay. So I want to animate this effect in. So I don't get confused, let's go and let's change the black and white. Let's go and collapse that. Don't turn it off, just collapse it. All right. Up here in the upper left-hand corner, you can see that I've got a timeline that's different. The reason why that's there is so that you can animate something. And this is great for sound and effects. Because if I just go and position this anywhere, and I go and I turn on keyframes, they're going to begin where the playhead is. So basically, when I'm animating, I want to start with the very first frame of that video. So up here, I want to drag this all the way to the left. Make sure that's all the way to the left, and your counter down here says 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and turn on the stopwatch this time. Notice that we got a little diamond down here. That's called a keyframe. You can hardly see it. It's half of it is there. Okay? But we're on a keyframe, and that's what this blue means. This blue means that we're on a keyframe. And what I'm going to do is, I want to go, and actually I'm going to start this off, but like normal video. I'm going to slide this all the way to the right. So go ahead and do that. Okay, now up here, I'm going to go and I'm going to drag this to the right maybe, I don't know, let's say 3 or 4 seconds. And now I'm going to drag this down back to where I was. And you'll see as you do that, a keyframe will automatically go in there. So I'm going to drag it down to posterize it. Let's see, Zoe. Select your clip would be the first thing I would say. Did it show up? Then up here, look over here, Zoe. Are you on effect controls or scopes or source or? You are. Weird. Okay, on effect controls with that selected then, go ahead and roll it back and hit play. You should see the effect animate in. It should take place over time. There you go. So you see how you can change this over time? Guys, this is how you use keyframes, and you can use this on any effect, except for apparently black and white, which I don't know why they made it so you can't use it. Just about anything. You can do the same thing with opacity. Okay? Every effect you can animate if you want to. Now let's say you set this. Can I have your attention for a moment? Let's say you set these keyframes, but you don't like what's going on here. Like, whoopsie. You don't like that. Like, you want to change it. Okay? This button here tells you, puts you on the next keyframe so you could change your mind about this. This one takes you back to the first keyframe. If you want a new keyframe in the middle, you could hit this button. We're not going to do that today. And you can also remove it if you want to. But let's go to the second one and just change it. Like I'm going to take it all the way down instead, and then roll that back. So I've just edited the keyframe so that my effect changes now.
That's not creepy at all.
What's that? Is that fun? Did you guys have to do that in middle school? Music?
Not middle school.
She had to take a video and turn it in through Schoology. 6th grade music. Yeah, she's in band, that's why. She's a percussion player. All right. Good deal. All right. Next thing we're going to look at is how to layer a video and do what's called compositing. So let's go and choose down here, where? Oh yeah, we need to put another clip in. Just because we're going to start mixing audio now, can you mute this layer, M, so we don't hear that? We'll be less creepy now. And over here, mute the next one too. We're going to put some audio in there in a minute. So you guys know this is audio 1, audio 2, audio 3. This is video 1, video 2, video 3. Okay. So go and find your other clip. Normally we would mark ins and outs and everything. Today we're not going to do that. Just drag it right over and on top on V2, video 2. Now in this case, I'm dealing with video that is 2 different sizes, right? So I can go and I can scale this to the frame size. If that's the case for you, select the clip that's on top, right click and choose scale to frame size. We don't need to do that anymore because we're always going to shoot in the same aspect ratio, right? We're always going to shoot in the same resolution. That was part of the unit that we learned about, right? So, very important. Just so this is manageable and your playhead doesn't run on forever here, can you go and zoom out? Then grab the right-hand side of this second clip and pull it into here. Then go and zoom back in. So that they're the same length, basically. Now we're going to work on V2 here. All right. So video 2, you don't even need to click this thing. I'm not quite sure actually even what it does. Usually when you select one of them and then you do the normal way of putting video in, it'll put it on that layer. But okay, with this one selected, notice now on our effect controls, all different, right? It's like clean slate. So let's go and blend these together. First thing I would always do is I would open up opacity if I want to overlay. Take this down to 50%. Now make sure, or ish, doesn't matter. For what we're doing today, turn off the stopwatch, please, so that it's not blue. And then click yes. It's going to say, do you want to get rid of all the keyframes? Click yes. So we should be seeing both clips over top of one another, yes? Unless they're all black. You know, you're going to have to move your playhead forward to see that. That's right, you can totally ghost stuff this way. Anybody need more time with that? Okay, here's the next step in the process. That's straight overlay. But Photoshop and Premiere Pro have these awesome things called blend modes. That's right underneath here under opacity. Right now is normal. This is different for every 2 clips. Honestly, it's an experimentation thing. Okay, so go ahead and choose. Let's choose overlay here out of the list. Blend mode, overlay. Now, depending upon your clip, it just depends. Mine's going to look completely different than yours because I have a dark shot with another one that's kind of dark too. The next step you would do is you would take the opacity and now adjust that to where you want it. Mine doesn't do much with overlay. Kind of see what it's doing here. I'm going to change it to, how about exclusion? And exclusion is going to make things look completely different. Come back and adjust your opacity the way that you want. And hit play. And this is different. Depending upon any clip that you're using, it's going to be a different choice. But the process is always the same. You put a clip on video 2, you lower the opacity to about 50% or so, all right? Then you go and you choose a blend mode, and you can cycle through them. Like maybe lighter color is better, or maybe vivid light is better. Ooh, vivid light is kind of cool. And then you would readjust the opacity. Sometimes color burn is a cool one if you have colors in it. You could go back to your clip underneath, your original clip on A1, and then you could turn off the black and white if you wanted to, and then see the effect if you choose the top clip now again, and then adjust the opacity that way, and you're going to get a completely different result. So it's just going to take some experimentation. I tend to like exclusion, difference, and subtract. Those are the ones that I tend to like. Last effect that I want to show you today. 1242? Is that when this is over? Last thing I'm going to show you today is mosaic, just to show you another effect. So let's go and turn off the opacity effects on this one. And stay on the top layer. And over here, choose mosaic. I want to give you 2 days to just experiment. Today I'm showing you. The next 2 classes, I just want you to experiment and play around with effects and see what you like. Put this in the top layer. Now you've got a new control over here that's asking you how many horizontal blocks do you want? How many vertical blocks do you want? So mine looks like this. I put the mosaic on top. Then I went to the effect control. So whenever you add a effect, you go and you decide whether it's on or off, and it's easy to it's easier if you keep things organized up here by kind of collapsing and making things larger. So there's all kinds of stuff that you can do. Go ahead and save this. I'm going to have you. You can play around for another minute or two. You still got 5-6 minutes.
This is how they make it.
So this is the creative portion of the course, where I want you to really be creative with this film. Okay? We've learned how to put together video. We've learned how to operate the camera correctly, all of that kind of stuff. But now is the time where you get to be creative. So make sure that you are exploring and experimenting with different effects. There's all kinds of effects that you can add in. I really want you to try it out. Okay? Oh, what's Venetian blinds? Oh, I see. When you add another effect, you just turn the other one off so that you can see what's going on here. What's Venetian blinds? Oh, that's kind of cool.
Old TV. Like refresh rate. Oh, okay.
I don't like the alpha glow. I'm gonna get rid of that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let you play around for there's 4 minutes, so you can save and clean up it. But that's the intention. Next few classes, just kind of playing around. I don't want you to stop and say I'm done or work on other classes, homework or whatever. I want you to experiment with it. It's the only way to get to know the effects. And I can't go through them all with you. I don't have a list that shows you everything.